YouTube. I have what should be a fairly straightforward change out for today. Taking out this 96, I think, ream. It's a 2.5 ton. Of course, it's got this little short air handler. My new air handler is about the same footprint, but it's about 20 inches taller. So my thought is I'm going to actually remove this entire riser and just make my plenum go all the way up into the bottom of this trunk duct up top. I'm going to put a new line set. Of course, this is R22 and it's not that long. It'll come over through the portion of the basement that has a concrete floor. And currently this line set was coming out. It's right underground outside. I don't know if they used an existing sleeve that was there. I just don't really have an idea why they put it where they did when they put it in originally, but I'll be up a little higher. So I'll probably just come through here, pop up, go straight down this beam, joist until I get over to the air handler. I'm recovering the refrigerant outside right now. The panels right here, easy to get to. So I will, what I'm going to try to do, we've been having thunderstorms about every afternoon here. So I'm going to try to get that outside unit as far as I can. And then jump back in here. Plus it'll be cooler working here in this basement cellar than it would be outside anyway when it heats up. So I'll get started and get you a shot outside. And here is our outdoor unit. I said ring, rude, whatever. Going back with a Goodman. Again, I use Goodman usually when we're having a rental property because Goodman will warranty it for 10 years. Most people won't when it's a non-owner occupied residence. I don't know if you can hear me over the recovery unit. Okay, what I was getting ready to show you was how the line set actually come up out of the ground there, but it's really just right below the ground. It looks like somebody's put concrete around it. Maybe water was leaking through that sleeve that was right below the ground. I've cut the lines loose, the recovery finished up. So I'm going to tote this one to the top of the hill where my van is and get ready to set this baby up. Okay, I got my new pad leveled up and that's where I'm going to put my sleeve. I'm trying to stay directly out of the front of the disconnect while also giving them room to their water hose over here. So I will get out my chipping hammer and start making a hole. I usually drill one hole right in the center and then come inside and check. What I will actually do is drill a ring of hose around the outside of the wall, and then I'll move inside and do the same thing in here to keep from, let's see, the hole's there and I got a spall that's about 1 inch all the way around. So if I tried to drill a whole ring of hose from outside, this would look a mess in here. So I'll try to keep it as clean and neat as I can. Okay, this part of the hole is going to be in the web. It looked like it from the inside, but after I had got this pad leveled up, I'm pretty well committed to this spot, so we'll just chip it out. There's the web I was talking about. Another inch that way and it'd have been easy peasy, but this won't be bad. It's chipping out real good. I'll just make sure my pipe fits in the hole out here, make any adjustments, and then go inside and start. And then we have a sleeve. Okay, I've got the copper stuck through the hole. I've got my Hilmore bender and some little temporary tie straps. I'm gonna go in and try to get it shaped so I can determine where to cut it off out here. Okay, I got the unit set in there. I got the line set ran, insulated, and positioned in front of the air handler. And I've got it stuck in the valves out here. I've taken out the valve cores and I'm flowing nitrogen through the large line first. I'm gonna sweat it up and then I'll do the, switch over and do the liquid line. These Goodman valves are real close to the cabinet there. So I use an old heat kit blank to try to knock the torch off of the paint. Okay, I got the line set and the thermostat wire connections made, but I was getting ready to do the electrical, and I can't in good conscience leave this disconnect here. There's no cover, wire cover plate for it, and I don't know. The renders have a little kid. Looks like he might have a little seat here, so I'm going to. This one's about the same size. I think it'll mostly cover the stucco. As you can see, it's stuccoed after the disconnect. But I think I can make it look all right, and it'll be a lot safer. So I'm going to swap it out right quick. Okay, got the disconnect mounted. It has a cover. I'm going to leave it off. I've got to keep my cheater cord until I get a vacuum cord. So I'm going to hook up the high voltage onto the contactor of the heat pump, and then I'm going to pick up everything out here. It's clouding up pretty good right now. Wind's starting to blow, so we'll probably get a little storm here in a little bit, but I'll hopefully be inside working and not have anything left out here except vacuum and hook up the high voltage. Put the cover on in case it rains, but I always peel these yellow stickers off. If you get them before they get wet, they come off pretty good. If you let it get the least bit of rain on it, the top comes off and leave the glue behind. So, and these things, they don't look good very long. The sun bleaches them. So I got most of it. I'll rub that little bit of glue off. Okay, getting ready to pull the air handler out. I just cut the coil loose and drug it out, but this thing only has a 60 amp circuit coming to it. I figured just one of the breakers was actually connected. But not only is all of the 15 kW of electric heat connected, one of the limits has been removed and put together with a splice connector. And I don't think I mentioned it, but the tubing, the discharge from the little condensate pump come up and then was tied to the line set, and then it comes down and goes under the plastic to Lord knows where. So I went ahead and run a new piece out with my line set, and I'll use it to pump the water out instead of this piece here. I keep glancing down there and thinking that's a dead mouse. It's not, it's just a magnolia leaf. Okay, I got the air handler sitting on top of the plenum box, but it's screwed down. So I will slip this coil back in. There was some talk on one of the other jobs I did about the horizontal drain pan, and I left it because the door seals up nicely around this plug. They don't give you anything else. You would end up just putting a piece of duct tape over it. Goodman says you don't need to do anything for an upflow or a horizontal, I guess horizontal left discharge. They if you put it as a downflow, you have to take the top of the pan off. They actually show a picture of it, just snapping this little piece right here off. And I know you know it's going to affect the airflow some, but how much is it going to affect it? I would think the duct tape coming off that hole sometime in the future might affect it even more, and it sure makes it a lot neater looking installation. The air will be turning down here anyway, so I'm going to leave the drain pan and get this thing slid back in, and the copper brazed up so I can start pulling a vacuum while I work on my plenum up here. This is the little liquid line fitting that Goodman includes. They put it in the parts bag. Looks like somebody sat on it. Fortunately, I got this little Hilmore Swedger and it'll straighten it right up. 5 seconds later. I was holding this in my hand and the tenant was talking to me. Look what Daddy did. Oh well. All better. It's cutting out the old line set, and the thermostat wire was taped to it. And this gob was up on top of the duct, so I'm going to probably just cut this off and make me a new splice, hopefully somewhere we can get to it. That would have been scary if you'd have had a different color wire upstairs and not known about this. The tenant told me that he actually put this plastic down, made him a little place for weights, but he said that drain line went over to a hole they had dug and filled up with gravel underneath this plastic, so I'm glad I ran a new line out. The pump was plugged into this little extension cord that also goes under the plastic, the condensate pump. So I was prepared to run a new one from the panel there. And when I was pulling this thermostat wire, this is one that had the big knot of splices on it, so I pulled it around to the front of the duct, and it'll actually reach if I make the connections outside, like in typical Goodman fashion. So I may do that rather than have an extra splice. But in reaching up there to get that wire out, I found that, and it works. So I guess maybe I can just plug the pump in there. Okay, getting ready to put the last piece of the plenum on here. Put this piece here, which will hopefully set right up here and go in and tie on, and then I'll seal everything up with mastic tape and put a little insulation on it. Okay, I just checked the vacuum, it looked good, so we're getting real close to being able to turn the gas loose. Our plenum's all done except for insulating, but what I'm going to do, I've hooked the power up. I'm going to turn the fan on and put the door on, of course, and turn the fan on and check static pressure before I go any further. And I went ahead and put it on the medium tap. That's about what we usually have to do with these, but I'll check and make sure we get the right airflow, and then we'll proceed to start insulating and get them some cooling going on. Okay, we got about a 0.45 on our static now. I had to move it up to high. And so if we work our way across here on the 31 air handler, we are at 1060 to 990. So we'll be a little over 1,000 CFM right there. So that's where we're going to leave it for a 2.5 ton. Okay, just turned the vacuum pump off and valved it off. Setting on 330 microns. So I'm going to go in and hook up the thermostat wires, let this thing sit here valved off, and come back and check it. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. Been in there playing with the thermostat wiring and stuff. I'm still on 350, so I'm going to say we got a good tight system, and turn the gas loose. Okay, this thing had a standard wall return grill in the floor, and as you can see, it's not really rated for foot traffic. So you want to go back with a floor grill. I'll have to probably make a something underneath to hold the filter, but I'll get that done and should be ready to turn on. Okay, just made a little rack out of sheet metal to lay the thing down in, filter in. So now let me just cover it up with the grill, and they can actually stand on this one. Okay, final product in here. Put a float switch and then tied their pump in so that it would turn off if turn off the AC if anything stops up. But I think it turned out pretty good. It's kind of a tight fit once you take out one of those little short ream air handlers, but and Goodman happens to be one of the tallest air handlers, so it was a worst of both worlds. Okay, you're gonna have to add a little bit of juice to the line sets, probably about 35 feet or so. So I've got my tank out hooked up. I'm manifold. The sun is just about to go down. Still very warm. It's 82 in the house. I'm gonna take the probes in there, see what we're supposed to get, and finish this up and call it a day. Thank goodness for Goodman.